Hola, Taboo Breakers. Bienvenidos a Taboo Talk Latina Edition. Yo soy Cynthia.
And I'm Jeanette, and here at Taboo Talks, we keep it real, raw, and rooted in our cultura. This is the space where we shed the silence, speak on the truth, or well as we're told to hide, and celebrate the stories that make us powerful mujeres.
We break cycles, honor our voices, and amplify the mujeres changing the game. Lo que nadie quiere decir, we say it here with heart, laughter, and healing.
That's right. Today's guest is a woman who didn't just build a brand, she built a movement rooted in identity, self love, and representation.
She's the founder and CEO of Rizos Curls, the award winning clean hair care brand created to celebrate curls, coils, and waves and the culture behind them. What started off as a dream turned into a multi-million-dollar brand carried in thousands of stores nationwide, while also staying deeply rooted in realness and community.
Beyond business, she's a speaker, change maker, and a fierce advocate for embracing who we are naturally. Julissa Prado, welcome to Taboo Talks Latina Edition. So honored to have you here with us.
I'm honored to be here today.
Yeah, thank you for joining. And before we start, we always like to set the tone. Here at Taboo Talk Latina Edition, we always like to start with this. What taboo shaped your story and how have you started to break it?
I think the misconception that you need lots of capital, lots of money to build something good. I think that my business since the beginning has been proof that you can make up in what you lack in marketing dollars, you can definitely make it up in creativity and hustle.
I love that. Yes, 100%. Yeah, because that's true, right? Every time you think of a business, you always think, okay, but what about the capital? Like, do I need investors, right? That's always like the first thought. So I love that. And what did breaking that taboo cost you? And what did it give back to you?
Yeah, it cost me my sanity sometimes. I think that it definitely requires you to be really, really dig deep and really, really be intentional with every single little thing that you do. I think that sometimes it is so much easier to be to do campaigns and do things that are a little bit more surface level and just more cookie cutter and copy repeat. But really like pour your heart and soul and like passion into something. It's like it's draining. It can be draining, and I think that being in this business now we're turning 9 years this year. I'm like, "Oh my god, I can't believe that." When I tell you every single campaign, every single launch, every single moment, like all of our give back moments, all of our everything that we do is like thought with so much intention, like so much love, so much detail. Like it like we really do pour ourselves into it. And I think my team does too. We're all very much on the same page as far as a lot of our values and how we feel about the industry, our community, our culture. So I do think that it definitely costs you to have to dig deep and really be vulnerable constantly.
So true. And that's needed. I feel that, especially in today's world, we need more of like what you preach and how you show up for your people, and not just in hair but also in like life, right? And I think that's the beauty of it and how important it is, and also that you have an amazing team, because I always see all the reels and everything that you guys create together, and we're always sending it back and forth, and it's beautiful to see that, because like you said, I think that a lot of businesses also lack having that support within their own community, right? Especially when you have a vision and they might not follow it, but if they follow it, it's a game changer.
Yeah, definitely. I think that even when looking at, building out my team and like who I want to work with, a lot of the time I'm like the hack to getting people to want to hire you is just being a pleasant human. Is like being someone that people want to work with. Like you could find a smart, qualified person anywhere, but finding someone that you actually look forward to being around and working on projects with, like that is harder, and I feel like that is sometimes even more valuable than so many of the other qualities, because a lot of the other qualities, like you can learn them, you can teach them, but teaching someone to be kind and to be pleasant, that's a bit harder.
Yeah, I love that. And I know Rizo Curls, I think at the beginning you started this with your family, correct?
Mhm.
Which
Yeah.
is like such a beautiful thing to see, like the support from your entire family.
Yeah, and my brother's still my co-founder till this day, so he's still, he's like
Amazing.
the only boy ever. It's always like all the Rizos Curls girls and my brother.
I love it.
Because we have that conception, like, especially like us growing up, right? Like the way that I was really raised was like have your traditional 9 to 5. Yeah, follow your dream, but more like a hobby, right? It's not guaranteed, it's not for sure. So it's inspiring to see also that there's a different version out there, like your story that
Yeah.
empowers people to like also rely on their family because there might be hope. Or they might just not understand your vision and that's okay, but they're here to support you. And we saw that with your family. So there's beauty in that.
Yeah, and I thought it was and a lot of the time people are like, "My family can't do that, etcetera," but I'm like, so much of my family that came to help, it wasn't like they already had these skill sets. Like, it's not like they were already photographers. No, like, I borrowed a camera, handed it to them, and was like, "Click the button, like, let's figure it out as we go." One of it's so funny, but one of my cousins, his name is Ed, he had never, like, touched a real camera before, and I was like, "I we need you to help me take these photos," and I, like, handed him a camera, and he was, like, taking pictures, and he's like, "I don't know what I'm doing, but sure." Tell me why his that photo that he took ended up in the actual issue of Elle magazine. Like, that
Wow.
was the photo that they ended up picking and using of me, and it ended up in Elle magazine, and I'm just like, "Leave it to." I was like, "Look, Ed, the very first photo you ever took ends up in a magazine," something that, like,
Crazy.
photographers, usually work a long time in their career for.
I
That's
know
so
it. You pay
funny.
a lot of money for it thinking I need this huge branding shoe, right? Which, yes, it's great. But look, it's the little things that we just don't realize it. Wow, I love that.
Mhm.
I love that. It's like they learned skills they didn't even know that they had.
Yeah, and you know what's funny? Like, he till this day, like, he actually and I always told him, I'm like, "I think you have a really good eye, like, I think you would be a really good photographer in general," just from, like, the photos that he takes with his phone or, that he chooses, and after that, he started, picking it up a bit more.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. Well, it worked out then.
Yeah.
When I saw, the video of you, I forgot what it was, of you saying, that your family, like, truly helped you. Like, you were in your uncle's garage and all that. The first thing that came to mind, so you kind of switched the perspective of it. It was like, imagine me, like, sharing that with my parents, right? And this is what I love about Taboo Talk, right? That we kind of get to hear, like, everyone's different perspective and stories. And I was telling Jeanette, I was like, I don't know if my parents would have supported me the way your parents supported you, because my parents were very strict on, like, you have to go to college and you have to either become an accountant, a doctor, like they listed out certain careers. And if you don't choose none of that, then, we can't help you. So it was funny because, Jeanette and I were talking about that yesterday. I was like, man, this is so beautiful to see, because I feel like if I were to bring that dream or idea to my parents, I think they would have, like, disagreed. And no offense to them at all, right? Because they, just came here to kind of like hustle and work hard for us. So it's just so beautiful to see.
Yeah. No, girl, my parents are the same way, so I feel like what made them be more accepting of it is the fact that I proved to them that I could do their version of the American dream. Like, I did it. I, like, graduated from UCLA. I got my master's later in business management. I was working at PepsiCo while I was in grad school, and then right after I graduated grad school, I was working for Nestle. I had, like, a great job with all the benefits, and I was like, okay, now I literally did your version of the American dream. It's my turn now. I was like, I gave it like a good, really working full time in corporate. I gave it a good like three, almost 4 years. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to switch this up now. And even when I told them I was going to quit, they're like, what?
Yeah.
No, like, you're throwing it all away. Like, you have an amazing K, tu pensión. Like,
Yeah.
tus beneficios, la, la, la. Like, and, so when I was working for Nestle, I also had, like, a corporate car. Like, they paid for my insurance. They, like, because I had an at-home office, so they paid for, like, my computer and my printer and my internet. Like, they were hooked it up. And they were like, ¿Cómo te están pagando todo? Y la, la, la.
That's
And I'm
loca.
like, "These
Yeah,
países, hago lo que me dé la gana."
that's right.
God, I love that. Wow.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
That's so funny, yeah. I can hear my mom saying that 100%, yeah.
Yeah, they definitely were, like, freaking out, but, I think that having that in my back pocket of, like, "You know what? What's the worst that can happen? Like, I can always go back to corporate, like, I have my degree, like, I have all of those things." Like, I don't know, I feel like it gave me a sense of cushion and, like, reassurance that I could confidently go into something else because I have something to fall back on.
Yeah, that's true. And like we always say here is, they didn't know any better and they're just following generation after generation, the same cycle. So we have to start breaking it, just like you did, like we're doing, right? And really standing up for like, okay, I respect your point of view, but this is my life. This is what I want without hurting anybody's feelings, right? So I love that
Exactly.
you share that because it takes us back to like, we have our own dreams, but we have to go after it because our family, even though they love us, they're never going to fully always support us.
Yeah, and, like, you can be living their dream, their dream version of your life, and then get there like I was and still feel unfulfilled. And I'm like, I did it. I tried it out. I tried out that version that they wanted my how they wanted my life to be. And I was like, okay, no, I still want something else. So I feel like if you for people that kind of have that voice inside of them, I'm a firm believer in your intuition
Yeah.
is your, like, guardian angel, like, speaking to you, and when you don't listen to that intuition, you don't listen to that voice, it gets lower each time, and that's why I'm such a proponent of caring for it, like, honoring it, letting it be my guide in everything that I do, like, literally listening to my heart in all circumstances, whether it's in, the business world or in my personal life, because I truly believe that if I feed it, it'll get louder and easier for me to interpret and to receive these, like, messages, and depending on what you believe in, I believe it's God, help be guiding me, but if you don't believe in God, it like energy, life, the world, like, it's something that I think truly does something supernatural almost um that is
You
that
just
is
keep
there
going.
kind of wanting us to be happy.
Yeah. I know that exact feeling. That's why as you're describing it, I'm like, yes, yes. It's like a feeling you can like explain, but it's like you were made to do something different, right? And there's like this calling within you and this vision and mission. So I
Yeah.
applaud you for that because
And it
that's just
eats you up
beautiful.
and you're like, "Ugh."
And if it
Yeah,
doesn't go your way, you're like, no, it has to work. Like there has to be
Yeah.
a way. I love
yeah.
it.
Yeah. There's a book called Big Magic that I recommend
I've heard of it.
reading if you guys haven't yet. It's an easy read, but I really, really love how they almost personify creativity and good ideas into like being their own little entities that come to bug you. And if you don't catch them, they're gonna go float. They want to be born so bad they go and float somewhere else. But yeah, it's like a really fun and interesting way to think about creativity.
The perspective. Yeah, I love that. I gotta read it. I've heard of the book. Now, I have a question because so many of us, right? We grew up that the hair wasn't just hair. It was something to fix, hide, right? Like for me, it was the straight hair. It was like el pelo liso, keratin, like always fixing your hair so it can look nice, right? Not in a bun, not crazy. And for example, el pelo rizo is considered pelo malo. I know Cynthia has a story to share in that, and I'm sure you can relate too, right? It's a popular saying.
Yeah, no, 100%. I always say, so for me growing up, my background is Dominican. Every Saturday, my mom would take me to the salon nice and early, and it was like to blow dry my hair. My hair could not be curly because curly meant it was unprofessional. I just looked ugly, and curly hair was not allowed in my house. I think I was getting like a perm, probably like at 5 or at 6. I'm pretty sure my first perm probably was, like, at 6 or 7.
I
Maybe
saw
I'm
on social media a
exaggerating.
video like that of like a mom straightening her daughter's hair and she was like 4 or 5 years old, and I'm like, "Ah, like they're so
Yes.
little."
I'm pretty sure I was that young. I'll have to check with my mom. Maybe she wouldn't wanna tell me, but I'm pretty sure I was very young, and every Saturday, we would go to the salon, and it was, like, straightening my hair. We were in the salon for hours to straighten my hair, and it's so funny because not until I started this podcast was that I started leaving my hair naturally curly. So because of this podcast and because us trying to break these taboos is that I can have the confidence and say, no, I'm going to leave my hair naturally. And it took a while, I must say, because I struggled like the first few months. I had this thing where I was like, oh my God, I feel so ugly. But then with like my hair straight, I feel so beautiful. And that was just the conditioning of like me growing up, of my mom telling me, oh, if your hair's curly, like you're ugly, you're gonna be considered ugly. So it's just like crazy how we just grow up and there's a certain conditioning like that that we grow up with.
It's so crazy. What about you, Julissa? Did you grow up with
Yeah.
that too?
So I think it's really interesting because, I obviously naturally have curly hair. It's straightened right now, but it's because
Okay.
I like to like I'm the kind of person that I'm like, express yourself with your hair however you want. Like, love every version of you. If you want to dye it pink and then straighten half of it and the other half curly, do it, girl. We got some products to help you repair it when you damage it, or like whatever it is. Or if you do want to, take a break and do it straight, like use a multivitamin heat protector, leave it, and you could get it extra shiny, extra protected, and then go back to curly. Like, I love that freedom of like being able to learn and understand your hair and be able to express yourself with it no matter what the mood is, and not have to have this pressure of like, I can't do this because it's going to get too damaged, or I can't do this because of that. It's like I want to create products that are going to be there for you, like no matter the decisions that you make. We're never going to tell somebody like, no, we're going to say, okay, you know what? Yes, it's probably going to damage it, but I got a routine for you to bring it back or whatever it is. But I think that in general, I've always seen that there's in life, there's a lot of the time there's like a thing that maybe society tells you to not like about yourself. And I see it all, especially with like, people of color. There'll be certain types of like European standards of beauty that you don't match. For some people, it could be, their skin tone. Somebody could be their hair. Somebody could be the shape of their eyes, their bodies. Like, it could even be something that's not even physical. It could be like their socioeconomic background or whatever it is. And it's so interesting because I see it time and time again. Whenever people are able to love the thing about themselves that society is trying to pressure them to hate, or that society taught them to hate, it's almost like they reveal this 2.0 version of them that is just like unstoppable and just radiates like love and acceptance and confidence. And it is just one of the most freeing feelings to be able to love that part of you that you once hated, be able to be proud of that part of you that everybody told you you shouldn't be proud of, and being that comfortable in your own natural version of you is one of the most beautiful, empowering feelings. And I think that that feeling is what I got addicted to when I started wearing my hair natural. Because for me, it was definitely my curly hair that I always hated, and everyone would make fun of me and didn't like it, etc. When I really learned to like love that part of me, and I really understood and embraced it, you couldn't tell me nothing. It was like, what? Try to come at me sticks and stones can break my bones, but words will never hurt me? And I feel like that like radical love and acceptance for yourself, like your light shines different. And from that moment, like I remember the first day that I wore my hair naturally curly to school, it was like I suddenly had a magnet, and all the other, especially like women around me that were struggling with their own hair and hated that part of themselves and were yearning to learn it and love it. It was like I was meeting these undercover curlies left and right everywhere I went, and it was like such a theme in my life that it almost became like I was so addicted to that feeling of freedom when you learn to love that part of you and you understand it. And I was like, I want you guys should feel it. Like, it feels so good. Like, I want you guys to also get that moment. And yeah, I think even, and it's interesting because it's been so long since I started doing that. That was, you know, I was like 14, 15 years old when I first started wearing my hair natural and helping undercover curlies with their hair. It's been such a long journey since then, but it's interesting because till this day I feel like the commonality is like that feeling and that intention of like that's what I want. Like no matter your hair texture, no matter like what your end goal is, like I want you to experience like a deep understanding of your own hair and a deep love with your own hair, with you. And I want to help you like be able to bring whatever it is to life that you want.
That's so beautiful.
I love that. And it's almost like what you were hiding. So, for example, for us, like the curly hair, it's almost like at the end of the day, that's what becomes like your superpower, like you said, right?
Mhm.
It almost becomes your superpower. And it's funny because now that I wear my hair curly, I have so many people telling me first, they didn't even know my hair was curly. And then they're like, girl, why were you straightening your hair? Like, this looks so much better.
Oh,
So it's
no. Oh,
funny to
good.
like yeah, to hear their perspective, and then I feel like sometimes we just get in our own heads, right? Because for me, I was like, "No, I can't have my hair curly, like, I look ugly," and then I leave it curly, and people are like, "No, it's beautiful, like, I prefer you in curly hair, like, you look so much better." So, many times we just get in our own heads.
Yeah,
That is true.
exactly. Yeah, and I just like I'm that person that I feel like hair is one of the coolest way to express ourselves, and it's like and even like on I don't know if you guys have seen on TikTok, but there's this trend called the hair theory. I don't know if y'all have seen it, but it's essentially saying that um reinventing yourself and like creating this new persona for yourself, like the first step is hair. And they even use examples of like celebrities that were having a really hard time hitting, but then as soon as they like reinvented themselves with their hair, it was almost like their whole like everyone understood this new version of them. Like it was like Sabrina Carpenter was an example that her hair came first, she changed up her hair, and then it was like it became part of her, like, staple and persona. Chappell Roan, like, there were so many examples on TikTok that they were showing, or even just, like, other people that are not celebrities as well, but I do think that it's like changing your hair is almost like I'm starting a new chapter
Yeah.
or like I wanna tap into a different character, and that's how I feel whenever I, like, wear my hair differently. Even it could even be a different updo that I do or a different technique in, like, wearing it curly. But I just love that feeling of, like, "Well, you don't know I have the personality? Let me my hair is different today. Let me you know what? Well,
Let me
I
reintroduce
think I'm
myself.
liking my personality too."
That's so true, and I've seen that too, and I've heard it with, like, breakups, when a girl goes
Yeah.
through stuff
Yeah.
and you see her curl her hair or go from black to blonde and you're like, "Whoa," like, she's ready for that
Yeah.
next chapter. So, yes, I just picture that, you're so right.
Yeah, like, like Christy Sarah who just, went through who's going through a divorce or something on
Yes, 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 I know.
I'm
Yeah.
like, "Girl, if you
Yeah.
wanna do a big change, we got you." Like, I love that for women, especially when they're, just, like, relearning themselves, like, relearning, like, what they want, what they like. It's like entering this new place where you get to, like, reprioritize yourself. I'm like, "Ooh, time for a new look." I wish I was one of her homegirls and was, like, sending her inspo or
Yeah.
looking at, like, what transformations you wanna do. But yeah, so all power to her and all the other, women especially kind of, going through that.
Yeah, but we can change definitely, and we can spice things up within ourselves. So that was an important message to hear today. I just have a question for Julissa because she was so inspiring earlier. As you were saying everything about like your hair and you're confident. And I know that amongst the conversations we've had with a lot of guests and just overall, like those that we meet, there's something about the professional space that makes them deem down their appearance, their looks, right? Especially when they have curly hair, like they have to be the specific look. So, what advice can you give someone who needs to understand and realize that their hair isn't the problem, but the narrative that they're telling themselves or like people's perspective shouldn't bother them?
Yeah, no, I think it's like institutionalized racism is real and it shows up in so many different ways in our society, like invisible ways in which it's almost like smog. You breathe it and you don't even realize you're breathing it, but it's like hurting you in ways that you don't really understand until later you look back and you analyze. And I think one of them is like a lot of like the fact that there in so many different states, there were actual rules where people can discriminate against hiring based on people's hair, or the fact that, in cosmetology school, I think New York was the first state that actually passed, a law where you had to teach in cosmetology school, you had to teach how to style natural hair because, all the other states and prior to that, pretty much all you're required to learn in cosmetology school about textured hair is how to straighten it. So I think that we see that in all these different ways. And it's crazy because if you look at the statistics, the majority of the population actually has textured hair, whether it's like wavy, curly, or coily. But like the great majority of people, they don't have slick, straight hair. So the fact that like, even in order to be a licensed cosmetologist, like, you don't even have to learn how to care for that hair type is, like, there's nothing like, the answer is, like, institutionalized racism, these systems that have been put in place in our society that we're, like, realizing and trying to dismantle and trying to unlearn to in order to create an environment that is more just for everybody and is accepting and is more welcoming and kinder to all kinds of people and truly does, allow for people to be judged on what matters, like my skill set and not really what I look like. So I definitely think that there is still a lot of work to do in general to make workspaces more, fair and to ensure that people aren't being judged by, how they wear their hair or what they look like or what your background is, et cetera, in professional settings. Because even when, like, for example, like when I was in grad school, there was a class where, I don't even remember exactly what the name, but you pretty much learned like how to act in a professional setting, like how to act in your work environment. And they had a slide about appearance, and one of them was like, if you have curly hair, like make sure you either straighten it or put it in a bun, and it was like something that you were taught because legally that was a law too. Like a lot of these, big corporations, like they actually had it in their HR, rules of conduct was you couldn't have, certain types of, you couldn't just wear your hair however it was. So yeah, so I do think that there's a lot of work for people to do, and it's not like they're, like, making it up. Like, I definitely think that people that feel this pressure or feel like they may be getting judged because of their hair, it's like, it's not coming from anywhere. Like, it's definitely coming from these institutions that have made normalized this type of behavior, and they're, like, over here trying to dismantle it and trying their hardest to fight against it. So, I definitely think that all power to the people that have been able to, despite all of that, be able to be confident and be like, "I don't care, like, I'm gonna show up as me,
Yep.
and y'all are the ones in the wrong, like, I know I'm not, and I know that by me showing up as who I am and me embracing my hair, embracing all of these parts of me, it's going to empower other people to be able to do the same and be able to also feel confident in their skin without, this fear of being judged."
Mm. I love that. And you know what's so funny now that you say that about like the curly hair? I remember when I was graduating and applying to jobs, I remember one of the thing was that don't have your hair curly because it would be a big distraction for whoever's interviewing you. How stupid is that, right? Like I'm distracting you by my curly hair. The other thing was if you have any tattoos, make sure you're hiding them. And I have, and at the time I have like a few here on my arm, and I covered them with makeup. And one of them, I remember my professor was like, you can still kind of see it, so maybe put like a band-aid over it. And
Jeez.
I went to this interview with all my hair was fine because I would always have my hair straight. So I was like, that's fine. I covered all my tattoos. And I remember the day of the interview, he was like, let me put a Band-Aid over it because you still can see it a little.
Wow.
What a
Yeah, no,
shame.
tattoos I think is, like, still on the,
Yeah, I'm pretty
I think
sure.
it's, like, still on the thing, which I agree with you, like, I think that it's just bizarre, like, especially oh my god, I can talk about this all day, but, like, the old ways of doing business, like, the business world in general, I'm like, I feel like a lot of the issues as to why it's just so like suffocating and so like constraining and just like strict is because it was very male dominated. And I think it's like it almost like perpetuated this idea of like dog eat dog, like first one in, last one out, no sleep, like
Yeah.
this is men just over here making up things that stroke their ego and make them feel better than other people. When I think, like, whenever I see like women in business and the kind of like work environments that they're creating, I'm like, girl, why? Like, you could, if anything, I like disagree with all of that. Like, I'm like, first one in, last one out. Like, what? No, like, I'd rather you be more productive. I'd rather you
Yeah.
get good sleep. I'd rather you have like a healthy life and you get inspiration and you're able to bring your best version here and you're creative and you like, are well fed and slept. And I prefer that instead of you taking forever to do things, you're have an incentive to be more productive and find ways to improve like on the ways that you've been working so that you can maybe do something else later or whatever. It's like, I don't know, the old ways of business, I'm like boring. Like now I totally understand why Gen Z is like so anti traditional business and traditional, corporate environments. And it's like who wants to live in that? Like it's just it perpetuates only one kind of human, very like Anglo-Saxon, like this is this is how you should be. This is what you should aspire to. And it's just it doesn't leave room for personality.
100%. I agree.
Yeah, that's fun. It's funny that you say that. So I'm a tax accountant, and no tax accountant, don't come after me, please. But when I started corporate America, one of the thing was if you are a staff and your senior manager is still in the office, you cannot leave. You cannot leave until your senior manager leaves. And I remember thinking like, so if he leaves at 3 a.m. and they were like, yeah, so then you'll leave at
You're
3:05.
like, "Oh, what?
And
Bye.
we were
Go
like,
dinner."
what? And I was like, "What? That's ridiculous." And then as an intern, you had to be in charge to get everyone's order and everyone's coffee order. And I remember at one point I was like, "Well, can we take turns?" Like, like they don't always have to do it. And it was like, "No, like they're the interns, they're the ones that do it." And I remember I just like till this day I struggle with that because I'm like, why are we still doing this? Like why are we still living like this? Yeah, it's crazy. But that's we can talk about this all day. That's like another podcast episode that we can do.
Complain about corporate America.
Yeah. So, Rizos Curls became more than a product. It's become a mirror for us women. And there's a taboo around visibility, around taking up space, and around saying this is for us. What responsibility did you feel once you realized that your brand was impacting identity and not just beauty?
I think it goes back to that like feeling that I was saying it was so freeing for me to come to terms with of like feeling like I'm enough just by who I am, just by like my natural authentic version of me is not only enough, but it's like the best version of me. So I think that being able to have a brand where people resonate with that messaging and like and even more than just, using products and supporting, a hair care brand, it's like they're also dismantling these feelings of self-hate or self just deprivation, just like not liking yourself. And I think that I love, love, love like the testimonies and stories of people that say, like, I was in, I recently got I just want to say thank you so much because I started using Rizos Curls and I started wearing my hair natural for the first time. And it just really opened my eyes to a lot of things. So I got a divorce and now I left my husband. He he was so bad and la la la. Like, so I'm in a new chapter of my life and I'm like, oh wow, you go. I didn't know, like, the consequences of wearing your hair curly again is, like, you might leave your husband, like, crazy, or the other ones would be like, "I started using Rizos Curls and wearing my hair natural, and I quit my job. Like, I hated it there, and da da da," and it's
Gonna
just
be me.
and it's so funny because it's like it's almost like when you experience that freedom of loving a part of you and embracing and learning that part of you, it's almost like you crave that type of freedom and love and passion in like every other part of your life. And it starts like literally opening your eyes to other areas in your life where you might not be happy and you didn't even realize you were unhappy until you give yourself like true self-love of some sort. It's like self-love is the most freeing thing because it almost forces you to create boundaries in your life to protect that love and protect that happiness and protect this happy life that you're trying to continue having.
That's so true.
I love that. Julissa, we can be here
Which, by the
for
way, Ju
another hour.
no, we can keep going, but before we take it to the mini fun segment, we wanna say congratulations on your entrepreneurship award of the year. I know that was a huge, celebration for you, but we just wanted to make sure that you were celebrated again because that was
Thank
huge.
you. Thank you
Yes,
so
and your
much.
speech was beautiful. We loved your speech and, the way you, like, shouted out your mom and your dad. I, like, almost cried because I was like, "Oh my god, that's so beautiful to see that relationship."
Yeah, they were so cute. They were, like, right by the front. They were like, "Hoo, hoo,"
Yeah.
like, they were, like, getting up with their phones, like
So
Oh, I
special.
love it. And our last question, what is one taboo that you are still trying to break?
ooh. I think one taboo that I'm still trying to break, I guess, would be scaling this brand and proving that I can compete even at this stage where we are now. So I'm still 9 years in, like I'm still self-funded, which is one of the hardest accomplishments that I think like I'm actually shocked that we even made it this far with still being self-funded. But I think it's like being able to continue competing with like the big conglomerates that have much bigger marketing budgets than us and being able to still continue proving in a world where like community is like almost thrown around like a marketing strategy, being able to stay true to like real community and what it means to be a brand that stands for community and really showing up for everybody that supports you and making sure that as you grow those people that supported you from the beginning are still feeling seen, still feeling heard, even though you're like, it gets harder and harder as you grow and have more customers, but like really, really protecting that authenticity, as we continue scaling.
Mm, I love that. All right, Julissa, before La Tia Chismosa comes in, let's have a little fun. Quick and fire question, whatever comes to your mind first.
Ready?
Yes.
If you could only pack 3 things in your Latina survivor kit, what are they?
My hair products, probably, if I can only do 3 things, my multivitamin leave-in, my custard, and like lip gloss or lip balm.
I love it. Nobody takes food or snacks with them. I just
I
realized
know.
Imma be extra
not us.
hungry.
We're like, no, we throw that out of the way.
I'll
Julissa's
figure
gonna
it
look
out.
fabulous, but hungry.
I'll kill a bird.
Okay, what's one beauty rule you grew up with that you completely threw out?
Damn, that I grew up with. Honestly, like, tying up my hair wet. Like, my mom used to always do that. And then as the now like, she used to do some tight, like, braids and things, like and my hair was, like, very wet still. She would, like, soak my hair and, like, to detangle it, and it would be, like, soaking wet, and then she would do, like, different braids. Like, I was that little kid that, like, always had a braid in her hair. I'm sure a lot of curly girls, like, I had, like, 2 braids, like, granted, I feel like it did help my hair be really healthy, but at the same time, I'm like, it's not good for your scalp to have it really tight wet.
And it's crazy because that's the same belief of like, no te vayas a dormir con el pelo mojado que te vas a enfermar. But then they're the
Yeah.
ones soaking our hair with so much to like even do a braid. Yeah, it's so crazy. That threw me
Yeah.
back. Okay, and the last one. Finish the sentence. Wearing my natural hair makes me feel
Beautiful.
Love it.
priceless. Okay, ahora sí. You know, La Tia Chismosa, the one who always had something to say about your hair, your choices, and your future. If your Tia Chismosa could see you now, leading a global brand, empowering mujeres to love their natural selves and embrace their curls, what do you think she'll say?
Mija, ¿me ayudas con mi cabello? She'll
Yeah,
probably be like, girl, I see what you've done for others. Can you please help me with my hair?
so true. She'll be like, "Come give me show me the tips. Show
Yeah,
me the rope."
literally,
Y después
literally.
termina con, y me vas a dar un descuento, ¿verdad? Yo soy tu
Yeah,
tía,
y un descuento.
yo soy tu tía favorita.
Exactly.
I love that. Okay, Julissa, and before we wrap up, can you tell our listeners where they can find Rizo Curls, follow your journey, and if there's any projects coming up that you can share here, please do.
Yes. So shop Rizos Curls at Ulta Beauty, at Target, and on our website. Follow Rizos Curls at Rizos Curls on Instagram, at Rizos Curls Hair on TikTok. And we are actually bringing back our United for Immigrants campaign in collaboration with Kids of Immigrants. So on February 14th, on Valentine's Day, Rizos Curl, along with many other brands, are donating 100% of our website profits to organizations uplifting immigrant communities. Last year, together, we were able to raise almost $250,000. So this year, we're hoping to also come together with the community and be on the day of love, be able to show up with love and intention for our immigrant community.
That's
I
beautiful.
love
Thank you
that.
for doing that. Julissa, thank you for breaking beauty taboos, for honoring cultura, and for reminding us that embracing who we are is an act of power. Your impact goes far beyond the curls. So thank you so much for today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for being here. And to our beautiful taboo breakers, this is your reminder. Keep breaking cycles, keep owning your truth, and keep showing up as you. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Y como siempre, chicas, we'll see you next time on Taboo Talk Latina Edition, where we keep breaking cycles, breaking silence, and breaking taboos.